Jonathan Givany from the ESPN had a mock draft yesterday, and his mock draft had the Sixers taking Ace Bailey with the number 3 pick. But also in that same report, Givany noted that some teams expect the Sixers to be active in trade talks and could package the 3rd overall selection with Paul George for players such as Kevin Durant and Lauri Markkanen. And then yesterday, it was reported after this, a couple hours later after this, the Sixers have given no consideration to possibly trading Paul George and the 3rd overall pick for players such as Kevin Durant or Lauri Markkanen. Quote, a league source told Philly Voice that the team has given no consideration to such possibilities to date. The team appears singularly focused on adding a premium young talent to a core featuring 24-year-old Tyrese Maxey, 21-year-old Jared McCain, and 24-year-old upcoming restricted free agent Quentin Grimes, rather than using the pick as a tool to upgrade its veteran base, which pretty notable. They mentioned just the 3 young guys. They didn't mention Embiid or Paul George in that, but I guess they don't want to add. Essentially, don't want to add an older guy to what we already have with the older dudes. We want to add another young guy. But we know Daryl Morey likes to trade. Daryl Morey is also, he could be feeling the pressure and the heat of like wanting to win right now, because that'd be the move to bring in a veteran to save your butt. But it seems that they're not doing that. If you had to place a bet here, do you think how much I guess credence do you give this report, the initial report that we were interested in going for the Durants, the Giannis's, or the Lauris, of adding a veteran presence?
Specifically names, I don't know, but Morey's always listening to offers. His phone's always open. He says as much. Like, he's always down to listen, and that's fine. I don't mind that. I like that, I don't know about those specific names, because Durant would just be odd at this point, because I don't even know what pick they have. So like, you're taking yourself completely out of getting any kind of young talent if you do that deal, right? He's even, we're talking about being old. It's like you don't even get any years back on that one. That's a tough one. And then you have and injury risk. Like, he's a risk too. So he's had just as many injuries, bigger injuries, I'd say, consistent over his career than Paul George, probably pretty equal. Markkanen's interesting. I don't know how well their contracts are very similar. They're both making a lot of money. Markkanen is like 28, which is great, but he's taller. And I don't know how well he's going to age in that time. Like, how good, Paul George looked great at that 32 age, but I don't know how great Markkanen's going to look when he's like 31, 32. I don't know how he's going to age. He can play 4 now, but when he's like 31, 32, is he going to be able to guard athletic 4s? I don't think so. So that's a tough one to me, because he did have a rough year last year, and that drove his value down. Of course, once he got all that money, he had a bad year. That sucks for them. I still would not be anti, just because you also only move back to 5. So you're not going back that far. You still get a very young talent. You don't get the top end. I think, more or less people have called it like a 4-person draft, right? But that one is enticing, because you're still getting a comparable player to George, and then you're getting still really young talent. So that one I'm not totally ruling out personally. But I do think we end up keeping the pick in the end. It just, I think it actually adds less pressure to Morey to do it too, because you're not extending your timeline, but you're taking a relatively championship window and you're going to Josh Harris and you're being like, it is a championship window, but now I've also opened up a long-term window. We have multiple windows now. We don't just have we have the championship window, but right next to it, it's like this long-term window that, it's not a championship level right now, but it could be. Let's see how it develops. So now you have to give, or you don't have to give, but Morey can pitch more years to stay to see it through, because now we have to develop Ace Bailey, who's 18, can hardly buy cigarettes, and it's going to have to take a long time to develop, right? So you have a lot of young guys around him now. We developed guys last year. So it's an interesting way to maybe extend his, time in Philadelphia for Morey.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The kind of pitching a 2-window plan. Like, look, we can have this squad of Maxey, and because all they talked about the last few weeks is health. All we need is health, right? Every team could say that, but that's all we need. We need MB to be healthy. We need Paul George not to get hurt right out the gate. We need Maxey to stay healthy. We need McCain not to tear his meniscus. This year was kind of an outlier, right? Because everybody got injured. It wasn't just Embiid. Everyone got injured, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one pitch. But on the other pitch, like you said, you have a young core, and by drafting Ace Bailey, you add to that young core, and you have Maxey, you have McCain, you have Ace Bailey, you have Quentin Grimes.
Grimes 24.
I know, and so that's 4 dudes where you could say, look, we have this Paul George Embiid window right now to their extension, right? Hopefully they both last. Hopefully, Embiid lasts to his extension. I hope he comes back, and I hope he's as close to his form as his MVP self as possible. But you have that window, and then you have that right alongside of it. You have the Maxey, McCain, Grimes, and Ace Bailey, or whoever they draft at that 3rd pick. So I just think it goes against everything that he's talked about this offseason. I know GMs can say a lot of stuff, but it did seem like in his initial presser, right? We over-indexed on older guys who are good for the playoffs. Yeah. Over-indexed on it. Now they want to go with the younger route. And by going with this younger route, you're building a solid young core around the PG Embiid contracts. And I think that makes sense to stick with the number 3 pick. And also, too, Cavani's report isn't really saying that he's going to do it. It's usually just if you listen to it, it's experts believe that the Sixers will do that. It's because given Morey's history,
yes,
that's what Morey does. Like you said, we all know Morey's a wheeler and dealer. He likes looking for trades and that kind of stuff. But also, Morey's never been in a lottery before, and Morey's never had a top 3 pick before. So this is kind of uncharted territory for Daryl Morey. And like you said, top 3 picks don't get traded. And also, too, Morey's a big social media guy. If he did trade that pick to get Kevin Durant, some Sixers fans would be happy about Durant. I'd be excited about getting Kevin Durant, but it goes against everything you talked about, and it's also double down. You're going double dipping on this whole veteran championship window right now, and that's not going to play well with the large part of this fan base.
The cashing in a lot of these like 1-year opt-ins for Cam Johnson's an interesting one too. Just because you get to keep George, you also add Cam Johnson, and you consolidate a lot of these guys that he kind of sounds like regrets signing, because our young guys developed and they developed well. So you add Cam Johnson, you move up Edwards, you move up Bono into the rotation to become like your next man up, which proved like last year that they did play well in spot duty. And you still have the 8th pick overall to draft someone who can still contribute, right? So that's an interesting one too. I'm not totally in favor of that because I know Nets fans are totally overrating Cam Johnson, but Cam Johnson as like your 5th option on offense, maybe even 6th option if you still have Grimes and try to get Yabusele re-signed, because I assume you're going to get rid of Oubre in that deal to make the salaries work. So Oubre, Gordon, probably Drummond for something like that. But it's an interesting one because that's an all-in move. And if you could try to sell, we're also going to get the 8th pick overall. So that's no slouch either. So I don't know, that'd be a harder sell for Harris, but another interesting one nonetheless.
Yeah. I think the whole play here with going for the younger guys, also, you don't have to you're not adding another big contract and having to even contemplate getting close to that floor, or whatever. What are they called? The apron.
Yeah.
The apron. So without adding Cam Johnson, just drafting a cost controlled rookie, you're not getting close to this apron business. So
because we can't do much this year besides re-sign our players and draft.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what we're resigned to at this point. Like we're stuck. This is our team. And they were smart for making the moves they did last year in order to just re-sign Grimes. That's pretty much your free agent acquisition is what that is.
And and it proved to be a great one. He looked amazing.
Great. It was a great move and another great move to re-sign him. So
yep. And it sounds like all the interviews I've seen with Moore, he's talked about Grimes is staying. I think he's going to stay here. And he talks well about Yabu staying as well. So it seems like all those guys who want to stay are going to stay.